Hey, Bible lovers. So today on Talking Rebinds with Logos and ICA, we talk about the most difficult aspects of rebinding a Bible. What are the things that's hardest to hone in? And I think you'll find their answers pretty interesting. Check it out. All right. So what is the most difficult aspect of perfecting a rebind? So you're building the Bible and you want to nail this thing. What is the most difficult part? We'll start with Daniel and then we'll move to John.
All right. There's all sorts of aspects to a rebind that demand precision, and I think for me, the most is maintaining a level of precision on the measurements, and kind of in those first stages when you're measuring the Bible to the leather. That's pretty crucial stuff. Is maintaining kind of level stuff as you're going along there. But yeah, it's changed kind of over the phases of uh, my practice of rebinding. It's kind of changed the difficulty of things, but yeah, for me that's one of those things that's still kind of honing in on, changes with every Bible sometimes.
So if you're not careful, like the gap will be over or something
Yep,
or under.
yep, yep.
Yeah. So I'm assuming you've lost some leather before. You've lost some time and effort.
Yeah, that can be pretty devastating sometimes. But yeah, I'd say something like that for sure.
All right, John.
I've personally never had to scrap a cover in my life, so never, not even like last week or anything.
Yeah.
Man, I actually, he stole mine because I think that's exactly, getting the perfect yap was the hardest part, because when it actually, your formula changes as you're trying to perfect your rebind, and as
Yeah.
you're going for a more rounded spine, you lose some of your cover leather there, and you got to make up for it. The thickness of your material as it makes the turn on the yap, it doesn't turn as tight, so you add a little bit more for that, and it kind of moves and flows like that. But I'm not going to steal Daniel's, because I do 100% agree with you that was the most difficult part. Past that, I guess I have spent probably the most time on, I think, corner work, and which is great, because that's what everybody looks at first, is how's somebody's corner work and keeping things clean and consistent. I don't think it's as difficult to do, but I spent more time working on how I wanted mine to look than almost anything else. Anything probably besides the equations I use for my measurements. So, the way that pairing leather together works, and this is, I do a lot of three-piece Bibles to save on scrap, because I'm not a rich fella and I don't charge a lot. So I use all my scraps to make something, rather than just throwing it in the trash can or giving it to the wife to make, Christmas ornaments or something. And all leathers work together differently, and that have different thicknesses, and they'll bind together differently. And I really didn't expect that, because hearing myself talk, I actually don't think that it sounds like it's that difficult. But every time I sit down to work, if it's not something that I'm used to, or I want to try something new, it feels like I've got to change my strategy with pairing these different leathers together. Otherwise, you get like a little split. You bend the cover just a little bit, it lets go, and it's all over from there. And
Right.
there's almost no gluing it back together or pressing it back together. So I have ones that I'm comfortable with, and then every time I try something new, between the cowhide and the goat and the shark and the different manufacturers and the different the tanneries, generally I have some failure while I'm working on that, and until I get used to it. So
What are the two between the two of you? What are the two most difficult leathers to work together on a three-piece?
I mean, anything that you're trying to pair something thin with something thick, obviously. I mean, you've got a lot of variability with a goat skin. You don't normally have the option to pare it down thin. Whereas with a cowhide, you from different manufacturers, you're able to pare it down to the thickness that you'd like. And I mean, I like getting my stuff just for ease of doing corner work, and I don't have to skive as much when I'm doing my foldovers. And I know John does his folds differently when he's bringing all that. If I'm trying to pair up a goat skin and a cowhide, sometimes the thickness can be different, especially with shark skin and other things. I'd say shark is probably one of the more difficult ones to try and get together. But yeah, it is. It's like you got to change it up a little bit every time, and kind of see what the piece of leather is like each time it changes. So
Right. I think what I'm hearing is one of the most difficult aspects of doing a rebind is the unpredictability of what's going to happen with the leather.
Yeah.
You kind of walk into it thinking that you know what it's going to be like, and then you're wrong. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Confidence is key, but then it all falls apart.
Right.
When you start touching the leather.
Yep.
I've noticed like mistakes even in like non-custom Bibles where you're getting them from like a Schuyler, or where you're getting them from like, let me give you an example of a Schuyler. This is a Traveris, and the yap is perfect, but whoever did the Jerusalem cross, you can see they didn't account for the yap. So see how off center that cross is. No,
Been there.
And here's the thing: that entire run is that way. It is every Bible, whoever did, they didn't factor for the yap, so the cross is off center. So it's like everything messes with your measurements, and I just can't imagine getting to the point where you're all the way done, you're ready to set the block in there, and then you're like, oh man.
Well, like I said, that has never happened to me before.
Yeah, I can't say that happened to me either. It's like I've forgotten all the times that it's happened every week.
Right.
Man.
I had you all actually make me twins.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah, twinsies. And this is a preaching Bible. This one's more of a reader's layout. And what's really interesting is John has since moved on to the curved spines.
He has joined the dark side.
I sure have.
Yeah.
So
it's been a struggle.
I've always liked the flat spines as well. And John, back to the other question. What were the two most difficult leathers that you've ever worked with to fuse? Let me give you a hint. Let me tell you which one it was. Just show you.
No, lower that. Just down just a little bit. Daniel, don't work with museum calf for a cover. Don't do it. It was a test, and the ostrich leg I'm retired from, so we won't look at that one. That'd be okay. I'm not even going to count that.
Aside from that one, what's the most difficult leathers to fuse?
I think my first three-piece was two different colors of Badalassi cowhide, and I had bought it so thick enough that I had the feel of the Bible that I wanted, but whenever it came time to sky these things down to where they would meet together, and whenever you flex you want it thin there, because whenever you flex the cover, you don't want it to. If it's too thick, it'll just open right up. Whereas if it's thin enough, it'll do like that and it'll be fine. But it actually wound up looking absolutely awful and still came apart. So that's one I've strayed away from a little bit. I'll pair Badalassi with something else. But everybody has their different strengths, and I think that Daniel said that cowhide was one of the easier ones for him. So it'll make me feel like a chump. I'm cool.
It all depends.
Yeah. I work with a lot of sharks, so I'm actually getting pretty used to that. And I find leathers, and we'll move into that segment, I'm sure, but I find leathers that I use a lot. And some of my favorite leathers wind up being the more easy ones for me. So coincidence, but
yeah.
So there you have it. The fusing of two different leathers can sometimes be extremely difficult, and getting your measurements perfect can be really difficult, especially when you want to yap on your Bible. So I thought that was pretty interesting. There you have it. Keep calm. Jesus on.